I've learned, as folks have heard in our other podcasts talking about where the federal government is going, that when you start prognosticating on where the legislature, whether it's at the state or federal level, is going to go with things, you're almost always guaranteed to be wrong. So I'll leave the prognosticating out for folks who are braver than I am to put their necks out there. Instead, we'll focus on what's actually introduced and what looks like it has a chance of passing in the Ohio legislature, or what Governor Mike DeWine and others that are leading those efforts pursue. Welcome, everyone, to A Higher Law, a cannabis podcast from the Dykema law firm. I'm your host, John Fraser, Michigan team leader of Dykema's Cannabis Group. But today, I'll be talking about all things Ohio. Today, we're going to congratulate the state of Ohio for becoming the 20th state to legalize adult recreational cannabis. I want to provide a short summary of what's going on in the state down south of Michigan here, where I am, and I'll provide a short summary of what comes next for Ohioans as they embark on this next chapter of the repeal of cannabis prohibition. So, on November 7th, Ohio voters took overwhelmingly to the ballot box and voted to pass Issue 2, which legalized adult use marijuana in the state of Ohio by an overwhelming 57 to 43% vote. That means that the folks that voted in favor, more than 500,000 Ohioans voted in favor than against. So an overwhelming victory in Ohio, and actually those numbers are fairly similar to what we saw in Michigan when we voted to legalize marijuana in 2018. Unsurprisingly, the Ohio adult use marijuana initiative looks very similar to what we did in Michigan. The organization that led the ballot initiative was the Ohio Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol ballot committee. And we had in Michigan a very similarly named committee lead our adult use effort, which was the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol. So the Regulating Marijuana Like Alcohol theme appears to have been a winner. And Ohio's initiative was supported by the Marijuana Policy Project, as was Michigan's legalization effort. So, with it passing at the ballot box, the law will take effect 30 days after the election. So, the law will actually take effect on December 7th. But there won't be any really significant changes in the consumer marketplace for some time thereafter. December 7th becomes a critical date for a lot of Ohioans because as of that date, it will be legal for Ohioans to possess up to 2.5 ounces of marijuana. They'll also be able to grow 6 marijuana plants at their residence with a maximum of 12 plants per household. So while the statute takes effect on December 7th, the Ohio legislature and Governor Mike DeWine have both indicated that they intend to introduce and pursue amendments to the adult use statute. And those amendments may, depending on what amount of tinkering they decide to do with the law, they may push the deadline back for the agency to make rules and begin accepting applications for licenses. Do not be surprised if that happens. The ball is going to be in the legislature's court at this point in time, but we would expect that they will act fairly quickly if they are going to make changes. Folks need to understand what the playing field is going to look like for purposes of determining how they're going to participate in this newly legalized enterprise in Ohio. And it's not just the folks that want to invest in it from a business perspective. Just like Michigan, a fair amount of local control is delegated to local municipalities in the state of Ohio to determine things like zoning and land use on where they might want to have these businesses located, if they want to have them at all. And so those organizations, those local municipal governments, they will need time to see what the playing field is going to look like from their end so that they can properly plan as well. So I would not anticipate the Ohio legislature to drag its feet on this issue. I would expect them to act fairly quickly. And that's something we'll certainly be monitoring here at Dykema, and we'll be providing regular updates on. In addition to that, some big kind of pieces right now, right? Understanding that the Ohio legislature might still tinker with things, is that the law allows existing medical dispensaries and medical marijuana facilities that are licensed under Ohio's medical statute to become adult use right away. And so, right away meaning once the application process opens. So, um, assuming that 9 month date holds true, we would expect to see sometime in August of 2024 some adult use licensed marijuana businesses opening up in the state of Ohio. Again, that date's tentative because of the fact that the legislature may make some amendments here. And I've learned, as folks have heard in our other podcasts talking about where the federal government is going, that when you start prognosticating on where the legislature, whether it's at the state or federal level, is going to go with things, you're almost always guaranteed to be wrong. So I'll leave the prognosticating out for folks who are braver than I am to put their necks out there. Instead, we'll focus on what's actually introduced and what looks like it has a chance of passing in the Ohio legislature, or what Governor Mike DeWine and others that are leading those efforts pursue. So that's your big update on Ohio. Very short at this point in time because we're still waiting to see what the legislature is going to do there. We do not expect any seismic changes from any amendments. The voters have clearly and unequivocally expressed their desire here, and so Governor DeWine and others in the Ohio legislature have indicated they will respect that decision, but they expect to tinker with some of the administrative and other types of technical details of the statute, and without seeing what they actually propose, um, who knows what those will look like or how extensive those will be. But I would not expect any changes with respect to December 7th being the day that adults in Ohio, if they decide they want to partake and use cannabis legally there, they will be able to do so. So that's your quick summary of Ohio. Congratulations again to our neighbors down south in Ohio on joining Michigan and so many other states in legalizing adult recreational cannabis. And that's all we have for you today. As always, you can find us at dykemapodcast.com, youtube.com/Dykema Law, or by searching A Higher Law wherever you get your podcasts. I'm John Fraser, and thanks again for joining us on